This is more important than doing. You're going to love this. Welcome to episode 107. Hi, I'm Clarinda, and you are listening to the Feel Light, Mind, and Body podcast, created for women like you. Women who are experiencing success in so many areas of life, but are struggling with weight loss, stress eating, and decreased energy. Losing weight can feel hard, heavy, and restrictive. That's why every week I will be offering you a different perspective, tips, encouragement, and a unique approach so that you can feel lighter in your mind and body rather than feeling deprived, frustrated, or discouraged. What if you could feel free, yet in control around food for the rest of your life? What if you could enjoy your experience of losing weight and getting healthier? You absolutely can. You're in the right place. Take this time for yourself and let's dive in. We have 6 weeks left in this year. Yes, 6 weeks, my friend. Let your mind reminisce about this year. What comes up? Is it a blur, or are there specific images of moments passing through your mind as I speak? I don't keep a diary, but I have a pretty detailed planner. I was reflecting back on the year this morning as I was journaling, which for me is a way to sort out my thoughts and find which ones are supportive and true, as well as process and manage any emotions that are coming up. Usually, a few lines in, I notice myself writing something like, "God, please guide me as I..." And for me, it's a form of prayer, of talking to my higher source for wisdom and guidance as I sort through my thoughts. So, when I was journaling about how I wanted to end this year, I noticed all of the doing, the actions needed to accomplish a short-term goal. That was what was showing up. And as we know, that's very normal. I get out my planner and looked back over the months and at the 6 weeks remaining, thinking, when will I put up the tree? When will I take Mom her early Christmas gift? I had a request for another in-person 2025 in Focus workshop, and they wanted it a little closer to the new year. I was like, is that possible? So does that sound familiar to you? Are you starting to think about your holiday plans? Maybe this week you're thinking about Black Friday sales, and to my U.S. listeners, Thanksgiving. And while all of that is important to plan, what is more important is how it feels now, and fast forward to check in for how you think it will feel at that moment. If left to our default brain, we'll continue to live the same day over and over again in the same patterns of previous years, starting off with a bang and ending with indulgence to feel better because goals weren't reached. Have you watched the movie Groundhog Day? Reflecting on the year is so valuable, but it can be tricky. If you don't do it, it may simply be because you've never thought about doing so. However, you may be unconsciously avoiding it as a way to protect yourself from feeling bad about not accomplishing what you set out to do. Or maybe you suffered a loss in revenue, a diagnosis, or a life change, and it still feels painful. I want to encourage you that it is still so worth taking the time to reflect, and here's why. It will help you become aware of some latent thinking that's been keeping you stuck or living a somewhat comfortable because it's familiar, yet mediocre life. The capacity to have and be more is within your reach. It's so possible. This year has been a huge growth year for me. I started my journey at the end of January with Dr. Trivedi, and my mind has been blown as I've learned brain optimization. The financial investment has been huge for me, but because of that and because of the value I perceive, I've showed up in a big way. I now love being a facilitator of this work. It's about optimizing all areas of your life, and health is at the core in order to enjoy all of the other areas fully. So you can see how that aligns with Feel Light, Mind, and Body. I'm so excited about this Saturday's 4-hour in-person workshop. I'll be guiding like-hearted, not necessarily like-minded women through the very first, most important step that will determine how they feel moving through this upcoming year. It's the new foundational step that I have only included in my VIP 4-month coaching package. So what an opportunity to be able to experience this for only $97 in an intimate setting with women who are experiencing similar challenges and have similar desires. There are going to be some powerful shifts that day as they set themselves up for the new year. Whether you've been debating or just hearing this for the first time, just do it for yourself. You absolutely won't regret it. If you show up and play full out, but don't think it helped, I'll refund your money. How's that? I can say that confidently, as a value you'll receive will give you so much clarity, peace of mind, and you'll suddenly stop judging yourself. You'll learn why you're hard on yourself, and it will make so much sense. The tools and strategy in this process are simple yet profound. So, to answer the episode title of what is more important than doing, what do you think? It's being. Deciding how you want to be, who you want to be as you move through the holidays, and how you want to show up for others and yourself for this upcoming year. Again, this will become crystal clear in the workshop when we move through the foundational values exercise that will guide you through your next chapter in life. But for now, just off the top of your head, how do you want to be? That is important to know before you jump to the doing, which includes all the actions on your to-do list. For now, think about how you want to be this day, then expand it to this week, and then the remaining 6 weeks to end the year feeling at peace. The first step is to observe from curiosity and notice your current default way of being. I teach what I know to be true and have had success in, but often it's also what I'm still working on. As long as we have a human brain, we will be. When we think we have arrived, we're probably living in a delusion or in a state of denial or pride. How are you being in the good times? How are you being in the most challenging times? Is it supportive? How is it serving you? When things are going amazing, are you celebrating it? Or are you in a state of anxiety because you're worried that it's too good to be true and it's inevitable that it won't last and something bad is just around the corner? And when it does, because we know life is full of challenges and setbacks, how are you being in those stressful times? Are you frozen, or are you able to move through it from a place of grace and acceptance? One of my jobs as a life coach is to help you see what your brain is doing and how it's influencing how you feel, the actions you take or avoid, and therefore the outcome you create. I also walk you through a simple process to see how your most common belief and response are optional. How empowering is that? I highly value those aha moments that I have when I'm personally being coached. The quality of my thoughts and questions I ask myself for my personal rewiring is night and day compared to the version of myself 8 to 10 years ago. I learned so much in 5 years of university, my 21-year career of nursing and personal training, but I learned very little on how to create the inner and outer state of being. Life coaching has optimized my life, and there's so much more expansion coming. I'm excited to be able to take this learning on my journey with me. But what I'm truly passionate about is not just keeping it for myself. My mission and vision for service are why I show up here weekly and love coaching my face off with my private VIP coaching clients and clients in the Feel Light, Mind and Body group program. That level of investment and value is exponential to what I can offer in this one-way podcast conversation. But this avenue is a way to reach women who are longing for more and wondering if it's possible. It gives them a taste of what is possible, creates a spark of hope and a sense of whether they connect with me as a coach. Think of what you're afraid to do or have been procrastinating. What if you could simply take the next step? What if that step created a momentum that lit you up while still scaring you? That involves having the capacity to feel all the emotions and still take action. When we fully understand that it's normal and that we're wired for survival, not abundance, we don't take it personally. We develop the skills to do hard things, which feels both terrifying and amazing. We can use me for an example. How will I get more comfortable on camera without putting in the reps? I'm keeping it real with you. it feels very hard for me. You may have seen the bonus episode I put out on Sunday. It would still be audio on the podcast platforms, but YouTube allows video. I then tried to record this podcast on video, but I was getting too caught up in my head and taking so much time. I decided to give myself grace and do it audio, yet not totally take myself off the hook. My compromise is going live once this week, as well as creating a reel with me talking. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. And by the way, if you don't see that, let me know. Call me out on it. We can look at another example. Think about how you don't get rid of the bat wings on your upper arms by thinking about doing some tricep reps, and they don't suddenly firm up after one set. So the question is, are you ready to put in the reps? Are you willing to feel uncomfortable now so you can feel more comfortable later? That is one of the powerful questions my clients find so valuable in how to handle urges in one of the videos in the Feel Light, Mind, and Body program. They say it's been a game changer. It doesn't mean we always choose wisely, but the percentage of time we do is significantly higher. It's not about denying your initial response and tendency. It's about intentionally choosing who you want to be in this moment and moving forward, and from that choice, deciding what the most supportive next step will be. So here's something you can do. You can write out, I am practicing being a woman who, and then fill the blank. That is more powerful than, I want to stop reacting in this way. And it's more calming for the brain than, I will never react in that way again, because when your default mode reacts in a knee-jerk way, your brain will make it mean that it's impossible or at least too hard. Saying, I am practicing or I am becoming gives some space for grace to help you with this shift. It takes you out of perfectionistic thinking, which will lead to procrastination. Procrastination can sound like this. I'll wait and start watching the training videos after the social event in 2 weeks when I can do so perfectly. Well, as you know, there will always be something that pops up in our mind, and then we think, maybe later. That's a primitive part of our mind doing what it does best, keeping us in a familiar, safe state that requires the least amount of energy expenditure. How many have done affirmations? I have. Some of them felt good, like, I am courageous. But others, like I am thriving, didn't. What was the difference? It was the belief I had about it within. For example, in the early days of the divorce, when I stood up for myself with trembling legs, mentally saying, I am courageous. That ignited a fire within me because I recognized that I was courageous. That flame was just a little low at that moment. I could draw from it as it felt true. In contrast, when I tried saying, I am thriving, it didn't feel true. There was some cognitive dissonance happening there. My brain was quick to point out all the evidence of how I wasn't thriving. I felt like I was simply surviving 7 years ago. So each time I tried to convince myself, my brain would simply say, liar, not true. However, when I shifted it to, I am on a path to thriving, I will use this for good someday, my mind calmed down and gave me some compassion and inspiration. A comforting verse for me in those days was, now we see things imperfectly, like puzzling reflections in a mirror, but then we will see everything with perfect clarity. All that I know now is partial and incomplete, but then I will know everything completely, just as God now knows me completely. That was true grounding for me. In the Feel Light, Mind, and Body program, we frequently talk about hitting the pause button and then taking simple steps from there. That isn't a quick fix, but wow, as we strengthen that skill, we get different outcomes. Outcomes that we can be proud of and increase our belief system, self-confidence, and self-esteem. I hope today's episode was both supportive and challenging, as we need both in order to grow. Who else do you know that could benefit from this? Share it with them by hitting that little airplane button or the 3 dots in the upper hand corner of your app. Let me know what your takeaway is, either with a comment or a direct message. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're feeling the nudge within to take things to the next level, listen to it. An empowering way to get started is by joining us for the upcoming workshop, 2025 in Focus, Defining Your Path to a Purposeful and Energized Life. I've already heard from most of the women who've registered that they're looking forward to getting clear on their values with a proven process and brainstorm on what they want this next year to look like for them. I'm limiting the number as I want this to be an intimate group. We'll create a roadmap to bring more energy, purpose, and joy into the year ahead. I'd love for you to join us. Check the link in the show notes for more details and to reserve your spot. Let's make 2025 your best year yet. You're going to hear me say that a few times. And if you're listening to this before Saturday, November 23rd, there's still time. I can't wait to see you. And until next time, make it a fantastic day. Now, do yourself the biggest favor. From love, take at least one action step from what you learned today. Knowledge without application won't give you the results that you desire. Let me know on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever, what you are choosing to do and when. And yes, please leave a podcast review wherever you are listening to this. When people read your words and can see themselves in them, then you are contributing to women empowering other women. And that feels amazing. You just might change or save a life today.